you and I have known each other for a long time, through a lot of things. And I was excited to see what you're doing because what you're doing speaks to me. I turned 50 at the end of last year, and changes happen, and changes in perception happen to how you see yourself. So to be able to see women over a certain age being highlighted in the right way, not just a different way, but the right way, is pretty beautiful.
It's so true. And, while I always thought I was doing it, I realized that we really weren't placing a lot of emphasis because we all know that beauty is aspirational. And so while I thought, well, I'm speaking to them because I'm over 40 or over 50 and
Hmm.
now over 60, it wasn't enough because what we were doing is we were showcasing models that were very young. And
Hmm.
for a lot of
Hmm.
reasons, which I will give you a backstory that's really fascinating in a moment, but I realized we had to make the shift. And one of the best things, Tamsin, for me was, I sold my company back in 2012.
Right.
The owners of my company that I still work so closely with we're all on board with doing this whole new branding exercise of our company and learning that our customer was indeed over 40. And while she
Hmm.
was coming to us, we weren't spotlighting her. And so we
Right.
made a whole shift, a whole shift.
I just, it's so important too because you're right. We say we are, if we're speaking from that position, right? We say that it's enough talking about it, but I think there's such a deeper conversation. And if you look at some of the numbers out there, and you go beyond 40, and you say there's going to be 1 billion women in menopause by 2025 globally, that those are some
Wow.
serious numbers that we're talking
Wow.
about. Isn't that an amazing number? That's
Oof.
globally, but those are real numbers, and those are real people that have moved into another part of their lives where they're going to have different needs, different skincare needs, wellness needs, body needs. And so you're actually not only talking to them now, you're actually working to help them with some of those different issues because better than anybody, all skin is not the same, and
Mm.
products are not the same as you
Yeah,
age.
it's so true. And, it's funny because my brand will be 25 years on QVC. And I
Wow.
remember about 10 years ago, maybe a little more, we had used this one model who was probably in her early 70s. And we loved her. We thought she was a silver fox, just beautiful. And, this is sort of a story that I probably shouldn't tell, but I want to tell. Um, every time
We
she
like
came,
those.
yeah, no, because it was such an awakening to me what a difference 10 years has made in the way
Mhm.
we're spotlighting older women, mature women, of all ages. I always say 19 to 90, below and beyond, because I really
Mhm.
don't want to leave anybody out. But when we showed this beautiful model, she was a real woman, meaning dark circles, hooded lids, wrinkles around the eyes, discoloration and hyperpigmentation. Do you know
Mhm.
that our sales would plummet? They would go down. We could monitor that. We could
Wow.
track that. So every
Sure.
time she came on the screen, it was like people were not ordering because in their eyes, she was not aspirational beauty. And
Right.
although they could identify with her, they didn't see what they saw when they looked at a 30-year-old model. And I
Mhm.
remember thinking, ooh, we got to reevaluate. Like maybe we shouldn't be using her. And we
Sure.
stopped. And 10 years fast forward, we see that women are saying, wait a minute, you're showing me a 30-year-old. How do I make up my hooded eye? Like, okay, your products are great, but like you're not showing me. What do I do now that I have wrinkles around my eye? What texture foundation? So we've made this complete shift. We have on our Laura Geller Beauty site, Mature Mondays, where we showcase our customers, and we have them doing their own makeup and showing their real beauty, raw as it is, and it's made such a difference for us. It really has.
I love hearing that. And you're right. I don't remember seeing it then. I remember seeing somebody I wanted to look like that was perfect. And I went to look in the mirror and I'm like, it's getting harder every time. It's harder to, this morning, I'm like, I can't get my lash on because my eye is, drooping down. Like that just happens some mornings worse than others. I don't know why. I slept on it and I've got to wait for it to move back into place.
No, but it's true. Well, by the way, that's a fact because I learned that a long time ago. A dermatologist once said to me, for every night, by the way, that you don't take off your makeup at night, you age 2 weeks. And I thought, okay, that did
Oh, wait,
it.
I lost
Because
you at the
there are
most
times
important
that
part.
I'm so
Wait,
tired
I
of it.
lost you
I
at the
don't.
most important part.
Oh, you did?
What? Tell me
Okay.
every night
I'll
what?
repeat
Yeah,
that.
every
For
night.
every night that you don't remove your makeup, you age 2 weeks. Now, that's not significant, but if you do it enough, it's significant. And when we lay on the pillow, another thing happens, you lose hair on your brow. So a lot of people don't know why
Mm-hmm.
they lose their tail. It's from laying on the side.
Yes.
There are little things that happen over time. But I have some great tips for everybody, so I can't wait to share those too.
I know. I was going to say we need some of those tips. We're going to do that at the end if that's okay. We want a couple of
Yeah, I
tips
don't
for
care.
mature skin because I think they're so important. I will tell you my little secret. I found this pillow. You might know it. Save My Face. It's a
Oh,
pillow
sure.
that
Yeah.
looks like an H, and I stick my face. It's crazy when I look at it, but I put my face in it just to do this for my eyebrows. I thought, well, if anything works, I'll try.
Why
I'll
not?
try.
I mean, and that's the beauty, Tamsin. There's so many things now, like in just I
Yeah.
learned from listening to some of your podcasts and coming up next about things we can do to just help us, as we go through this process in our life. And I face it head on. I'm not afraid of admitting my age. I never really was because I feel so blessed
Right.
to be able to get to that next year all the time. But yeah, that pillow's great. The silk pillows are great. There's lots of options.
I absolutely love it. Well, I want to talk about you, because I feel like women of this age are bolder than they've ever been before. I said it's kind of the bolden years, not the golden years anymore.
Oh, I
It's the
like that.
bolden years, and it's.
Yeah,
Thank you. Uh,
I
but I
love
do
that.
believe that because I think that it's not always easy to share your age for some women. I don't think it's easy to say, hey, my career might have gone in a different direction, or I'm going to sell my company. So what does that mean? You're the face of Laura Geller Beauty. And, where does that put you? And you've made just a tremendous, I don't even say pivot. I just say evolution into the next part of your journey. And I feel like it's almost bigger and better than ever.
I do too. And I think where I realize that I'm really shining in my career and doing the best work I've ever done is that what I always really loved about my career was educating women and teaching women how to do their makeup, feel empowered. A lot of people say you got to feel good on the inside to feel good on the outside. I'm the opposite. I'm always like, you know what? If you paint your face, sometimes you put on that face and you cover up a multitude of sins. So I'm a little bit, backward in how I do things, but I think that's what I always loved. And by the way, I love the art of the sale. I'm a sales girl at heart. I'm the daughter of a salesman, and I didn't know that that was actually a craft. That's really not something you can learn, but it comes natural to me. So having sold my business, I took the weight off my shoulder of running the business. And
Mm.
boy, let me tell you, I wouldn't go back to that for any amount of money. It was probably the hardest part of my career because I
Right.
stayed positive and I loved my craft. That's what kept me moving forward. But running the business and having to do the books, even though I had people helping me and I had to be responsible for that, and employees, and opening and shutting a store that I had for 22 years in New York City.
Hmm.
I mean, it was just overwhelming. That was not my gift. And so now I've gotten rid of all of that and I get to do product development and create products for women and different things. I always say I want to innovate, not imitate. So I feel like I'm in my best years right now.
I see it. I can feel it and see it. And I've known you for a long time. We've known each other over a decade at least. And
Yeah.
I just, I see a different brightness to you in your
Well,
eyes, because
you
I think
interviewed
it's so
me.
important.
You interviewed
Yeah.
me for Changemakers, your Changemaker series, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
Mm-hmm.
2011, and I had not sold my business at that
No,
time.
no.
And it was heavy. I didn't realize how heavy it was until I sold the business. So, yeah,
Right.
thank you for seeing the difference. And also I do
Yeah.
think, let's face it, I think this pandemic has helped. One of the silver linings is the reset button that it's helped us all have to realize that we didn't have to go maybe at the pace we were going. I don't know. For me, I slowed
I,
down a little bit.
I agree. I think I became a little more thoughtful in what I was doing, and I don't know. I saw
Yes.
something about the anti-hustle, and I said, well, I don't want to be
Wow.
lazy, but the anti-hustle is not lazy. It's smart. It's the smart, smart way of managing your time, and maybe that's what we needed a reminder. I don't know if we could have kept going at that pace. I mean, there's only so
Yeah.
fast you can go, or until you
Yeah.
lose something, right?
Agreed. I
Um,
think so.
when we talk about I want to go back real fast to the campaign that you're doing, because you have, I know Fran Drescher is the new face of Laura Geller makeup for
Yes.
beauty at every age. And I just thought that's just so fun and so neat and so New York. And
Yeah.
she's just this, she's remarkable in terms of not being shy about her age or any part of her life. She's always been
Mhm.
very authentic, and I think that's your biggest sales technique is you're authentic. You're who you are. You're who you are before we got on here and while we're on here. You don't
Thank you.
change in that way, and I think that Fran has those similar qualities.
She really does. And it was so authentic how it came about. It's funny. I found out that she was watching QVC. She was in Florida with her parents, and she was
Uh-huh.
flipping the channels, and my show was on, and she was like, "What is this Geller?" Like she never really heard of me, and she was like, "What is this Laura
Who
Geller?"
hasn't heard of you? What?
Oh, girlfriend. You see, that's because you're my girlfriend. And
Oh, I am.
sh
I
and
am. I
she,
am loyal.
you really are loyal. And she stopped, and she said there was something that resonated. And then after that show, our public relations company reached out to her and said we couldn't think of anybody better. And she was like, "I just saw Laura Geller." And I was thinking that's so interesting. So it really was very authentic how it came about, because has never subscribed to doing. She had her own beauty line on HSN.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
she's never wanted to do it for. I'm sure she's been asked by many people, and I always felt like
Sure.
I was a sister from another mister with her, because she's Queens. I'm Bronx originally.
Yes, New
There's
York girls.
a lot of similarities. So I'm very honored that she's enjoying it too.
I love it. So let's talk about some of those tips you have for women with mature skin, because we're just different. Our skin changes. When I turned 50, I saw the difference around 45 years old, and I went, the eyes are starting. And you know what I do for a living? I'm rough on my face. Make TV makeup is heavy, thick. I sweat. Not always pretty. I slop more on. I don't take everything off perfectly every night. And my saving grace is on the weekends. I just kind of keep my skin,
Good,
pretty bare.
good.
But
Me
but
too.
it does its damage, right? It does its thing. You wear television makeup all day long. You're
It's a
sweating and sweating
lot.
under it. Yeah, I know you
It's
do.
a
I
lot.
I know you're on all the
And
time. I love to
do
see it.
you have, I know I heard in one of the podcasts, one of your coming up next, that you have
Uh
some hot flashes sometimes.
oh.
So,
Some.
do you
I have
keep a
lots of hot flashes for you, Laura.
do you keep a personal fan near you while you're on
I
air?
don't. I
Girl,
don't. I don't.
girl.
But I do. Here's my secret. What is it? Do you have a personal fan? Is that
That's
what that
my
is?
Dyson. My
I love
Dyson
you.
fan is always within my
I
purview,
love you.
and I can turn it
I
up
love you.
or turn it low, and nobody knows it's there, and it keeps you very comfortable. You need to
That's
maybe think about
great.
that.
Do you know what I do? Because I work with all, men in the studio. So I have a glass of cold, cold, cold water in my mug. And then when I get really hot, I just lay my wrist against it in the, like this is my hairspray now, but I lay my wrist against it and I'm like, okay, I think that's working to calm me down between commercial breaks. That's my
Yeah,
secret.
I want to just, for those of you who think
Yes.
it's going to be over when you get to a certain age, I remember my mother used to always have like a wet washcloth around her neck, and I used to be like,
Yes.
"Ma, take the
Yes.
washcloth off. We're going in the store now." But she had her hot flashes well into her 60s, and I'm still having them.
Wow.
So,
You
oh my
are.
God,
Yeah.
please, I have. By the
It's
way, I can
real.
do a segment on fans because I have a personal neck fan that I got on Amazon. I have it all,
Wait, what's a neck fan? What's a neck? It lays
honey.
on your neck?
I'll text you. It's not
We're going to
something you
need
can
links.
wear. You can't be wearing
That's all
that on
right.
air now, my friend. But yes, it goes around the neck and
what
you can
what we
angle it
have to
too.
do.
I'm
I
telling you.
love it. I
But
love that.
I want to share a couple tips, but you're going to laugh. They're actually not makeup tips. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Okay.
We need these tips from you.
Yeah. So this comes before the makeup, and it's not skincare either. It's two things that you really need to do. So I'm going to ask you a question, Tamsen. When you do your
Mhm.
makeup, are you sitting or are you standing?
Oh, that's a good question. Um I'm usually
Mostly.
sitting. Mostly
Oh,
sitting.
okay.
Mostly sitting. Is
Yes,
that good?
that's the right
Oh.
answer.
Oh,
So,
interesting. I've always wondered that actually.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
I
you know what? In
I
full honesty, I sit at work, I stand at home.
and
So
when you're
I do stand at home.
standing, where are you in making up at home? In the
Leaning
bathroom?
forward in the bathroom counter. Yeah. Do I
Okay,
need
yeah,
a little
no.
table or something?
Mm, 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 mm.
Okay, good.
So, okay. So here's the difference. When you're sitting, think about it when you're at work versus home. When you're
Hmm.
sitting, your arms are more relaxed, which means you have more
Hmm.
stability in your hands to do things like liner. You're more
Oh,
relaxed, so you're not as rushed when you go to do your makeup as when you're standing and leaning over a sink or leaning over a counter. So I know it's not easy for everybody to have a place, but I think, get yourself a great portable makeup box where all your favorite things are in. Bring it if you have to onto your dining room table. Do it near a window if you're doing it in the daytime. Make your favorite cup of tea or coffee. I guarantee you, and I'm not suggesting, that you spend a long time. I'm the lazy girl guide to makeup. That is a book I want to write one day. It's like, get me out of the house as quick and with as little as possible because for TV, it's a different story. We have to make up,
yeah.
heavily, and the camera and the lights absorb all our colors. So that's, if you're looking at me and saying, oh, yeah, yeah, you have a lot of makeup on. I was on air this morning and there's a difference.
Yeah.
But so you've got to sit, you'll be more relaxed. Second thing, are you having trouble seeing as well as you did back in the day?
Mm.
So, a lot of women will say to me, don't give me a
No.
magnifying mirror. I don't want to see what the things are that trouble me. I say take the
Right.
10-time makeup mirror challenge. So, for an example, whether it's a 5-time, 7-time, whatever the magnification amount is, look at yourself if you need magnification, obviously, look at yourself in the highest magnification where you see the most clarity because you cannot imagine the mistakes you're making when you're doing your makeup and the little liner that's hanging down and the stuff that's in the corner of the eye and the
Right.
little spotches from your mascara
You're
or
so right.
non-blending. So get yourself an inexpensive magnification with light. I bought one on Amazon, like I think it was Conair. And it's a world of difference. And so if you can look good in 10-time makeup mirror, you can walk out into bright sunlight or any event or at work or whatever it may be and know you can walk in proudly because you're not going to have blush that ended up down here or discoloration
Right.
from your neck. So those were my two things first.
I love those. I learned
Okay.
something from them. Those are great because the standing up one. It's funny. I am annoyed at home doing my makeup, and I love to do it at work because I'm sitting. That's the difference. So
Interesting.
I'm trying to rush it. Isn't that interesting? And I always wondered. I thought I just need a little, like even if it's a table this big, you've got just a little place to put your stuff. And I'm with you
Yeah.
with the lazy girls guide because with when the pandemic hit, I've been doing my own makeup for Air, and
Yeah.
it's the
Oh,
first time in
right.
15 plus years that I've been doing my own makeup. So I had to
Wow.
learn, but I had to learn how to do it fast, you know. And so I've learned some cuts, and so I'm with you on that. If you want help with that book, I can give you my lazy face. But I've figured out
Yeah.
I know how to plop the lashes on. I've done it in the cab. When breaking news happens, I'm like, I'm gonna figure out, the cab driver's like, what is she doing back there with glue and scissors and
In the
that's
back
me.
of a cab? Now that's
I
an
love it. I
episode,
love it.
girl. That's an
Well, I mean,
episode.
that's not every day, and that's probably not okay. But you learn to do what you have to do. I do also. I think it's interesting with the 10-time makeup mirror, though. So if you do it, are you in the small mirrors? I'm just curious for myself, or are there big ones that you can see it
Yeah, I
all?
I have a pedestal mirror. It's a big mirror. One side is 10 and the other is regular. So after I'm done making up in the 10, I swap it to the regular. And sometimes you look and you're like, whoa, you know, okay. So you may want to just blend it out, with a little blending brush or something, but it will prevent you from making the hugest mistakes you can't imagine. And so you asked me about makeup tips for the mature woman, and mature woman, I mean,
Hmm.
well, who's mature? It's what you feel. I
Grown
don't
up.
feel like I'm a mature woman, but people will say to me, like when I go on air, sometimes there are some hosts that are like 30 and they're like, "Oh, makeup Mama Gella's coming on." I'm like, "Hmm." It's like, it's how people view you, it's how you feel. So I don't feel like you have to call yourself mature. I think you
Hmm.
may have to tweak the way you're doing your makeup from when you were 20 or 30 years old. And so some of the tips I like to talk about is, if you're very hyperpigmented, right, and you've got a lot of marks on your face, you may need more fuller coverage, if you want to mask those areas. But then powder sometimes really exasperates all the lines and wrinkles and just shows everything. So you get the coverage, but now you're looking more heavily made up. So one of my little tricks is first use concealer. You may get enough coverage out of your concealer that you don't even need to wear foundation. And then put a little bronzer. By the way, bronzer may be your new best friend. Even in the dead of winter when you're not typically picking up color from just the natural sun, bronzer will always make you look more healthy and give you more glow to your skin. So listen, we have all our Italian baked products, which go on like powders, but are really creams. And I love them because they don't feel powdery and they're lightweight. So just quick, easy, powder your face with some bronzer because you're going to look more youthful. It also helps to maybe tighten the look of things. I always say when you're making up, think about dark detracts and light brings forward. That's why I wear black pants every day of
Nice.
my life. And so when you're a little darker, it's going to make you look a little more toned. And I love that
I love that. That's great.
you talked about lashes. I think, sometimes mascara, you're spending lots of time putting coat after coat to
Hmm.
even get them to look like they're there. And so if
Right.
you can play, and especially sit down for that and rest your hands on a tabletop. This is a tabletop I'm on because your hand won't shake. Play at home when you're not going out with a strip
Hmm.
lash. They make really natural ones. They may get you in and out of the house much quicker and looking better, even if you're just jumping on a Zoom or Skype call.
Yeah.
I'm a big, advocate of lashes. I think they're great. I
Yeah,
think they
me
make
too.
us look more
Me too.
youthful. They do.
And I think the more you do them, the
Um,
easier they are, and they're not so scary.
yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing is I have a 3E philosophy. So if you remember these three things for your eyes, you will always look younger, in my opinion. So eyebrow. I know a lot of women, have overplucked or shaved or they've lost their tail
Hmm.
or in the
Hmm.
beginning of the brow they're thin. If you haven't gotten them tattooed, that is, if you find a good reputable place, it may be an option for you. I've not done that. But
Me neither.
find your, yeah, and you've got great brows, by the way. Beautiful,
Well,
beautiful
now they
brows.
have to be drawn in a bit more because my tails are, my tails are on
Yeah,
my pillow.
yeah, I hear that. I know. And so, well, actually, they're not on your pillow. You know where the hair goes? It ends up coming out of your chin. Did you know that?
Oh
All
gosh,
those little hairs. I'm
no.
only You ever wonder where those new
Please.
hairs come from every day when you look in the
Yes,
mirror and
they
you touch
do.
it and you're like,
They
where did that come
do.
from? Yeah, okay.
Well, full
Comedy aside,
disclosure, I went crazy with the laser a few years ago. So I've like, you know, that was I went a little nuts with that, but it's okay.
no, you can never go nuts with laser. I recommend it highly. In fact, I have a
Me
machine
too.
in my makeup, in my vanity, a little
You do
machine.
not.
I do too. And I do my chin for maintenance and my upper lip and a couple hairs that I have. I press because I had it done professionally and now I keep up the maintenance at home. Yeah, you can
I
buy that
I
on
didn't even know
QVC.
they had one.
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
gosh, I love it. I need all these links. I'll tell you what with laser though, if you are considering that, you have to do it, sooner rather than later, just because the grays don't get hit by that laser. So now you're kind of stuck with a few. So I still have a few of those,
Listen,
sprinkled
it's
about the
worth it.
face.
You know what made me
Yeah.
want to do it too is I remember my nanny when I was a young girl and starting in the makeup business. I used to visit her in the nursing home she was in, and she'd always say, can you help me with my hair or my brow? And I always thought, uh-oh, if I end up there, I'm not going to be able to see my brows or my chin hairs, and I am not going to let that happen. So they're going, and they're going to be gone for good.
Yep.
So,
I
the
love you.
three,
You're
the
so honest.
well, the three E's would be your
Yes.
eyebrows, eyeliner, and eyelash.
Hmm.
So if you can
Okay.
remember to always do those three things, and it may be more than some people are doing right now, but I have to really stress that as a makeup artist for a million years, eyeliner brings out the shape. So even if you have a hooded lid, still put liner, tight lined at the base of your lash because it'll show the shape. Eyelashes, mascara, or fake lashes are going to open the eye and lift the eye, and eyebrow frames the eye. So it's almost like there's no negotiating leaving any of those off. And then you could just put blush across your lids, like whatever blush you use
Right.
or bronzer, just swipe it across your eyes if you don't want to do a whole eye makeup application. That's just
I love
this
that.
my tips for that.
You know what? I got to tell you something. You look so fabulous, and
Oh,
the
thank
fact
you.
that you can give people tips, people of any age, but people tips where you don't feel like it's such an overwhelming task to have to sit down and do your makeup for 30 minutes because that deters people, right? So to be able to
Yeah.
know you can do a couple of things and still feel good about it is just great. So I have a final question to ask you. Where do you find your bold? You have been on a bold journey your whole life, and I feel like
Mm.
you keep going and keep evolving. Where does that come from?
I think from the love of what I do, and I I feel like, I have a almost 21-year-old son that I'm a single
Wow.
mom. He doesn't have a dad to look to, and I need to be both sometimes. So I think the boldness is, well, one, having a child on my own, but um, being able to have what you want and have nobody say to you, you can't have that. You didn't do that yet, or you didn't earn that yet. I don't believe in that. I believe if you want it, go get it and don't let anybody stop you. Don't, I mean, listen, there are things we can't all have, financially maybe, or there are things that prevent us. But if there's something you want and you're able to get it, don't stop. Just keep going. Because I'm a walking miracle of those things, in my opinion. So that's what keeps me bolden.
You really are. I'll tell you what. I remember talking about you being a single mom and you running the business and being on television and getting back and forth, and it's not easy what you've done over the years, and you're just remarkable. You really are.